What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. I'm here, BobbyFi, with my man Eric Sheets for True DFS. We're coming off of an interesting day. I had a good day slate in the end, which was weird because it all sort of happened in the last like half hour of the day slate. And then I had a terrible night slate, which wasn't even that terrible. It just was a couple points off cashing everywhere, which this is always not a kind of a garbage feeling on DraftKings anyway. On FanDuel, I had just an awful day all around. I don't think I cashed in anything.
But it's better that way.
Yeah, it makes it. Yeah, there was nothing to feel bad about. But hey, you know what? At least it's a strong golf start. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm.
And Sheets has been working just working like crazy on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Sheets, why don't you just give the people just a real brief update and then talk.
Okay. So a couple of things. So real quick, something I've been working on. Then we'll talk about the slate, what we're doing the next 24 hours, like socially, which is going to be interesting. I posted in the Discord. I posted a YouTube video. If you haven't seen it by now, then you're missing it. Is I've after a lot of hard work figured out a way to make our sheets, our projections, uploadable and exportable to use with lineup builders and optimizers. And I did a little video on how to do that. And be patient if things are a little buggy. But so far it looks okay. People have been asking for it, and I actually do like little projects like that. So that's really good stuff. The other thing is that,
guys, if anybody has any other questions, and if you can't answer them, if Sheets doesn't, always tag me on a question and I can try them. Because I do want people to understand they can use their optimizers now with your information, and
yes,
that's literally what you've been doing with LOL and the other things, and making a crushing off of it. So anyway, sorry, keep going.
No, so where you're going to the game tonight?
So I'm going to the Dodger game tonight, and I'm pretty pumped because I haven't been to like a good summer game. We have beautiful seats, four rows off the field, in the special luxury whatever area.
They've never offered me anything.
You know what? I push a little bit, and the guys at DraftKings are very good to me. I've been around them for a long time. I've also, we're obviously working with RG, and even here, I always talk them up, and they know that, and I appreciate it. I mean, look, they took me and my cousins to 2 of the World Series games in Texas, which last year, which was pretty awesome. So I really appreciate that from DraftKings, but I'm excited, and also it means I have to stack the game, which will be fun.
I guess. I told you though, the people. When my hedge fund was like much bigger or whatever, and I would think about hiring people, I would think of like what type of people I would want to hire to be like analytics and people and stuff like that for me. And I'm telling you, my example would be the person who is, it's not necessarily you, but let's just say that someone was locked up in COVID for like a year and a half, right? And there'd be had no social stuff, no whatever. They were a huge Dodger fan. Okay. And let's say that the Dodgers came back and he's been waiting for like a year and a half to be able to go to a game, and they bleed Dodger blue. They got a freaking banner up on the thing. They have like Davey Lopes jerseys back from like the 70s. They're like all kinds of stuff. And then they get finally invited to like a Dodger game to sit in the freaking first row. And they get hosted by whatever, they get the chance to shake Walker Buehler's hand and the whole thing. And then they go and they bet the under and the other team. That's the kind of guy, because they have a 1% edge. That would be the kind of guy that I would never want to be friends with, but someone I would definitely want working for me.
Yeah, exactly. What's funny though, real quick about that, I did want to say that I think that it's just a side note. Like I don't want to take away from the whole stuff. But last time, I was in New York with you actually, and I got a message saying, "Hey, you have this." They gave us the suite at Dodger Stadium for a weekend series with the Cubs for a Friday night. But I happened to be in New York. They got the dates. We got the dates mixed up between the hosts.
Oh.
But I didn't know I was getting the suite or anything like that. My cousins are going, "Let's fly back for the game." Like, you know what I mean? But you know what? And then that's the first time in however many years the Dodgers got no hit that night and we weren't there. So I kind of dodged a bullet on that one anyway.
So I know people are like, I hate this. People are like, "Oh, get on the slate. We got 100-game slate, whatever it is." But so I'm not going to be around tomorrow, and because let me tell you where I'm going. Okay. So long before there was DFS, and long before I played poker, and long before I played backgammon, and even before I got into the sheets, thoroughbred racing, I am going back to my full roots tomorrow, and I'm going to the Meadowlands racetrack for harness racing. Okay. And I used to go the Meadowlands when I was younger every freaking day. Okay. And for like so long. I mean, that's how I got my DGen start, betting freaking harness racing, like almost every night, you know, in the summers and sometimes in the winters or whatever it is. Meadowlands was 12 minutes from my house. And I think I've been to the Meadowlands more time than I've been to any building in the United States. Okay, aside from like where I work, you know what I mean? I think that has to be the case. So, and I haven't gone in, I want to say 25 years now. And my best friend from LA is coming to town, and I'm like, "What are you up to?" And he's like, "This, trying to find a place to meet." And he's like, "Well, I'm going to the Hambletonian tomorrow or on Saturday." The Hambletonian is the biggest day in harness racing, and you know, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going. So I'm going to back to the Meadowlands, the Hambletonian, which is the biggest harness racing day. And I'm going for the first time in 25 years. I'm really, really excited about it. And no, I don't have winners. I have no idea who even races.
I love it, man. That's awesome. Yeah, we're both going a little bit back to our childhood places in these next couple of days. Well, let's get into the slate, not piss people off too much. You know what, guys? I know you guys, some people, it's funny because I get the most mixed responses. Why don't you guys just get to the slate? And other people are like, no, they love it. We love hearing you in Sheets BS around. Like, you know what I mean? So it's you know, it's maybe not for everyone. I'll just put a little timestamp to start, you know, 7 minutes.
You know what? You know, play Burns, play the Astros, and that's it. All right, see you guys later. certainly do that.
All right, why don't we call up your screen and we'll go game by game here. Okay. You know, and keep me from looking at my golf lineups because I, you know, with a no cut.
I'm literally not looking at all.
I'm gonna try not to look hardly until Sunday, which means I'll be probably looking in the next 10 seconds.
The thing is that again, like you don't know who's starting when, you know, like you get all excited about. But all of our guys, I would imagine, are not playing yet, right? Because we got off to the hot start yesterday, so we now have to suffer the drip in winnings to make the comeback later in the afternoon. I like it. Yeah,
that's right. All right, well, let's do it. It always feels better to be coming back. Ooh, I'm very close in the big one though. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, all right, let's go game by game. Mets and Phillies. I don't think I want to do anything in this game personally. I definitely, yeah, it's a big slate is all I can say. The Kyle Gibson thing is the only thing that intrigues me.
Yeah, so I right now have only 4 pitchers that I'm particularly interested in on the slate, and none of them are coming from this game. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 4 main stacks and like 6 supplemental stacks, and none of them are coming from this game either. So I'm perfectly willing to cross this game off.
The only thing I would say is that maybe I even breezed past the Kyle Gibson thing a little bit too much. This guy's a good real life pitcher who moved from the American League to the National League, gets to face an up and down, mostly down Mets offense. And he's just a solid, like at 7,400, this guy against the National League this year, I believe has averaged about almost 20 fantasy points per game. The Mets are a below average hitting team. He had 21 his last time out against Pittsburgh, who's also a below average hitting team, obviously. I could see him getting away with, 6 strong, maybe 7 Ks. He's got 5.5 K prop for 7,400. He's got to be on the list. So I have some interest in him. Okay. But no hitting for me in this one as of right now. Tampa Bay, Baltimore. We get this one in, but finally Tampa Bay's out of Tampa Bay. Sheets, what are we doing here? Because I'm just going to try and refresh everyone's memory in case he hasn't, started to do it again for you. John Means is a good pitcher. John Means has good stuff. He was hurt most of the season. He was on his way. Look at his beginning of the season numbers. For those of you who want to look, you look at 30, 25, 31, 58. These are back-to-back games, The guy has got some good stuff. Again, at the same time, he still hasn't quite been the same since the injury. I'm just fiddling with the idea of do we really want to stack Tampa Bay here? I think they're on the list, but they're not my favorite. How about you?
Yeah, just the other thing I would say is I'm now looking again at my sheet here, and before I forget, I do have Gibson as kind of as a secondary pitcher if possible. Mm-hmm. So when I said I have interested in like 4 pitchers, he would literally be the 5th. So I didn't quite get to Means. I actually do like Tampa, and a little bit Baltimore too. So that I think Tampa is one of my top 4 right now, and it is a little scary because again, I don't know where I am with John Means. Like last year, everybody was just freaking attacking him, and this
no. That changed last year. Everybody realized he's actually good. He's
Oh,
like,
maybe that was 2 years ago.
he's legitimately like one of the better pitchers we're going to talk about and they're stacking against.
Yikes. Okay. But right now I do have Tampa as one of my top 4. And then I like I have Baltimore as value too. You know, and I guess the reason why both of them are coming up is because they're in a, you know, like I don't know about the umpires,
Park,
certainly in a really good park for hitting.
Yep.
So I do like both of these teams.
Yeah, you have a great situation for both teams in one sense. It's a right-handed hitter's paradise is what they have in Camden Yards. It's where you want to hit, and you've got 2 lefties who, even though they're both actually good pitchers, they can get hit by righties. I kind of with you a little bit on the Baltimore side. I think, you know, look, you've got the 2.3K Santander, right? You've got Mountcastle at 3.4. You could do a beautiful little mini stack, Austin Hayes at 2.5. And boom, there you go. Like, you know, these are not guys without upside, by the way. And I sort of like that. And if you wanted to make it into more of a full stack, you can always play the Mullins and Mancini, Severino. There's a lot of pieces to be okay with. Ramon Urias, by the way, has just been crushing them all. That's another one you could throw into a stack. So I'm not trying to go after Yarbrough, not crushing the ball. He's been hitting the ball hard for a guy who I didn't know had it in him. There's a lot of value there. So I'm open to it. I don't know if I want to prioritize either of these stacks. Nelson Cruz certainly seems like a very good play. Yeah, anytime you see Nelson Cruz against a lefty in Baltimore, it just goes cha-ching. And Arozarena has been crushing lefties. So Arozarena and Cruz are 2 good spend ups. But I just don't feel like you will see some home runs by Means. He hasn't been the same. But it also wouldn't surprise me if he goes out there and pitches up 6 and gives up basically nothing. I just think he's got both range of outcomes. He's just hasn't quite found himself since the injury recently, but I do believe in him as a pitcher. So both these I have in the medium category.
I would throw in Franco and Margot for possible Tampa people.
Gotcha. Yeah, potentially Andy as well. More on FanDuel maybe. All right. Do you want to start us off with your Yanks and Seattle?
Yeah. Neither pitcher for me. And I do have the Yankees as one of the top 4 stacks. I guess the usual crew. That being, I guess, hold on, what the hell happened? Oh, Judge, Stanton, Gallow, LeMahieu, Rizzo. I mean, wherever you can get in. Hayaguchi if he plays again. Oh, he is. That's right. Because what's his name is it's got COVID, right? Sanchez.
Yeah.
So, that's great. So you got Hayaguchi, the catcher, Gallo, Rizzo, Stanton, Judge.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one. You know, one of my general rules on large slates is not to stack against Marco Gonzalez.
Okay.
He hasn't been quite the same, but he still has been pretty solid. I mean, if you look at most of his outings, he just he gets through. He does give up some power, so I'd be more looking at the Yankees as a mini stack today. But I do see the merit in potentially fully stacking them. He's a better lefty than some of the ones they've struggled against lately. So I'm sort of iffy. I could see going either way. I do think Stanton. I mean, look, if you're playing cash game, even with the strikeouts, I just don't understand. As long as Stanton is 4K-ish against a lefty at home, you should be playing him. And just if you know, to prove that, if you're playing cash game, like, I mean, the guy's put up 25, 18, and 10 his last 3. It's not like has only one route and he has to hit home runs. He does walk. There's enough guys around him. I just think 4,200 is kind of a ridiculous price for him. One of the few good things I did do on last night's slate was play the Joey Gallo in the lefty-lefty matchup, who was really the only one crushing the ball.
Nice.
And I think that that's the way I would go with this. Like, I don't think the ownership's going to be so out of control outside of Judge and Stanton and Higgy. But I think you want to mix in one lefty maybe to get off the board, because these lefties, we've seen them over and over again. They can hit lefties. Rizzo's been awesome since he's been a Yankee. I believe he has an RBI in every game so far. First guy to start with a new team like that. And I don't know, however many years. I just saw a stat on that. But I can get behind the Yankees. I just don't think I'm probably looking at a 3 or 4 man, maybe somewhere between a 2 to 4 man, rather than a full stack for me, just because Marco Gonzalez can get through innings. You do have the bullpen behind him for Seattle. But the funny part about the Seattle bullpen, which is weird for that of a team of Seattle, is their bullpen has actually been pretty strong this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're not like they're not the easiest. Just we'll just go pick on Seattle because they've got a weak bullpen. It's not great. It's not terrible, but it's solid. It's actually on a better side of the average. Are you interested at all in the Seattle bats? I don't think on this slate it's like a good idea to stack them, but I could see playing a one-off of Mitch. I actually think Mitch Haniger at like no ownership is not that much worse of a play than Judge.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I myself didn't get to that, but I certainly be willing to consider it. Yeah, I don't have any Seattle guys on my board much at all.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, Ty France and Haniger and Toro are guys I wouldn't mind up. But again, we got a big slate. We don't need to focus in too big on this game. Okay, so this is an interesting one. Boston, Toronto, Manoah and Eovaldi. So I like Manoah. I'll just start with that. I think that there is extreme upside for this guy every time he takes the mound. I think he has lights out kind of stuff where he can put up like 30 points against almost anybody, especially because they haven't really seen him enough throughout the league. I like Eovaldi as a general pitcher. I feel like this matchup is going, even though it's righties, which he does prefer, I don't know. An unknown Toronto stack it sort of jumped out at me. So that's where I'm at with this one. Manoah, a little bit for me. And I definitely have some, but the weird part is I could make an argument on the other side for the Red Sox. I just don't think we need to on this giant of a slate, but there is a blow up path for Manoah too, for these young guys, as we say every day. And the Red Sox are not a team if you blow up against them, you could end up finding yourself on the other end of 15 runs or whatever. I just personally think that Toronto against a guy who throws pretty straight and hard and doesn't mix things up all that much, I feel like this matchup should actually be okay for them. I know he pitched well against them earlier this season. I just think that there is some upside for an unknown Toronto stack. So I have Toronto as a potential team on my list as of right now.
So I didn't get to any of that, but I did want to talk to you about the Toronto thing for a second. So I mean, I have them. I don't have either pitcher or any. I think I have a Manoah on the outside looking in, and neither the hitting does anything for me today. But this is what I want to talk to you about. So the other day we talked about Toronto a little bit as being a kind of a really high price pivot off of, I forget who it was, what, Colorado's, Yankees, whatever it was. And, I'm going to sound like a 5-year-old when I say this, but, they were scoring a lot of runs and even putting up a lot of fantasy points, but they weren't winning. And I was wondering, and it's hard to pay $6K for like a bunch of guys, and win, because I mean, you pay $6K for a guy. And this is really just like juvenile stuff, but remember, you pay $6K for a guy, they have to score the same as like 2-3K guys, right? So, and 3K guys can score 20 fantasy points,
right?
So it's hard, man. I mean, when you try to put like a 4-man stack and you're like, ooh, I'll pay up to be contrarian. I mean, you got to put a lot of points up and with very little room for error, with guys like that. So it's just something to think about.
I think it's something to think about, and maybe the reason I gravitate towards Toronto more than other people do is because I do so much combo stacking and not as much full 5-man. Because you can get away with it if you pick 3 or 4. The weird part is, like I said, the thing about Toronto, you can stack them 20% of the time, and anytime they're below 10% owned, and be probably hugely profitable on the year. But the truth is, it's more like make sure you could almost put a rule: I have one player from Toronto in my lineup, in every lineup. You know what I mean? Because I feel like every night somebody has a home run, 2 doubles, whatever, you know what I mean? Somebody puts up last night it was Bichette, you know what I mean? Usually it's Guerrero, or sometimes it's Simeon or Teoscar the night before, Springer the last week, you know what I mean? There's just so much in this offense that's explosive. Again, probably more of a 3 to 4 man. I'm sure I will talk about my 5-man stack shortly, but that's what I'm looking at right now. I do like Toronto, and I'm not, if you wanted to know exactly who I like, I would just say you could probably guess them, and they're going to be the usual suspects, but you can always get a cheap. Corey Dickerson at 3.3 is a very solid play if you're going to get a combo little mini stack going, and I don't mind Gurriel either, so just want to throw that out there. All right.
I'll tell you, hits a home run every night. Joey Votto hits a home run every night.
Yeah, Joey Votto, man. You see? So did you watch any of this? I'm watching the game last night. I'm like, oh shoot, Joey Votto, like 2 on, nobody out in the first run. The Will Crow couldn't do anything, and he hits the ball about 110 miles an hour at the first baseman that turned into a double play to basically knocked them out of the inning, would have been a double and all this stuff. And then the next time up, he cracks the ball a million miles foul, and then they call a strike on a pitch that's, now it's 2-2 on a ball that's about 6 inches off the plate. And the next pitch he hits out of the park. And it's like, as I'm complaining about how unlucky he is. Anyway, go ahead, Sheets.
So and it's funny. We were kind of on this early in the season, right? And I was joking before I pulled up my DraftKings slate. I'm like, boy, one of these days is going to be over 6K. Oh, he's 6K. There it is.
Yeah.
And I think he was 3K at some point this year, right?
Oh yeah.
In any case, I'll add something really funny. So I was actually watching the game last night because I had the Reds and whatever it was, and I actually, I kind of listened to the announcers. I'm one of those people that actually listens to the announcers, and they brought him up. It was like second and third with like 1 out or something like that. And the announcer's like, well, I presume they're going to be really careful to Votto. I don't even know why they're pitching to him. And then, like the guy screamed that like he's like, even the announcer, I don't know what they're doing here. and then he hits the home run. They're like, of course. I mean, like, what kind of idiot is this? Right. It's like you picture the manager probably going like this, freaking pitching him. My long-term statistics say that this. Dude, he's gonna hit the freaking home run. And I feel bad when he finally, pops for steroids in like a couple of months or whatever it is.
No. Joey Votto is one of the all-time. He's been great forever. He just had to change his style, like you mentioned. Has changed his style.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't want to hold that guy accountable.
So in any case, the Reds to me are one of the top 4 again. Castellanos, Naquin, Winker, India, and the ghost of Eugenio Suarez, who hit a home run, by the way, yesterday.
He hit 4 in 9 games.
Yep. Those are the best values. And Votto is 6K. I don't think I would use him at 6K. Actually.
Eugenio Suarez is hitting 165 this season, I think, or something like 175.
Wow.
He's also has the team lead in home runs, and he actually tied with Votto. And he passed Votto with his home run last night to be the team leader in RBIs until Votto came back and passed him in the next inning. Pretty wild for a pretty good offense that he could still be doing all that while hitting 175. But he has been much better since the break. Okay, anyway, Votto and Jesse Winker are two of the top 4 hitters in baseball against right-handed pitching in terms of OPS. They're on base plus slugging percentage. So you're getting the power. Obviously, there's walks involved too. Number 1 is obviously no surprise, Vladimir Guerrero. Which I should have mentioned.
Was that right?
Yeah, but Guerrero's a pretty solid number 1.
He's more than like JD Martinez having a good year.
Yeah, but he's more. This is against right-handed pitching.
Okay.
Against all pitching, it's the same thing for Vlad. Vlad's way ahead of everybody for overall. But Tatis is the other one, and then the other 2 guys are Winker and Votto for the season. Okay. So I do think that getting Winker and Votto will actually like. The weird part about this stack, because of how much they cost, I don't think they're going to be that crazy owned with Votto and Winker. They cost
because people are going to use Naquin and Castellanos.
Right. So Castellanos is the preferred play, right. And then even India will, whatever. That's fine. Naquin people will probably use again. I don't think he looks right at the plate, but that can always change with one swing. Yeah. Brubaker, like we want to pick on Pittsburgh right now. We saw they left poor Will Crow, out there to hang himself. But then for some reason, he actually somehow righted the ship. Like I was literally not one at bat.
Not bad. He's not bad.
Every ball that he was pitching, every ball that he threw for about for the first 3 or 2.5 and 2 1/3 innings was either smoked right at somebody, or he walked them, or he got 3-0 behind on somebody, and then they hit a home run. It was just like getting ridiculous. It actually felt like, so you could tell Pittsburgh was like almost looked like they were just like trying to forfeit or at least like Crowfield. I don't know what they were doing, but Brubaker is a better pitcher. I actually think he's got some skills. I am iffy on the whole entire Cincinnati stack, but they're on my list right now. I'll sort of revisit my favorites at the end of the show, but obviously Cincinnati is a team I want to get pieces of. But if I did it, it would feel wrong to stack them without Votto and Winker. As I just mentioned, those are by far your 2 best options in this spot. At the same time, I would prefer Castellanos over both those guys. Castellanos is your like obvious cash game play. As I call him, poor man's JD Martinez. Not that poor of a man's, but he is. That's what he is, and he does all of his damage at home. Nick Castellanos, if you look at his numbers in the season, he's like a 220 hitter on the road with a terrible home run rate. He's hit like 18 of his 20 home runs, or 14 of his 18 home runs have been at home, and he's hitting 390 in Cincinnati. So that's not a coincidence. It's a great hitter's park. So I love Castellanos tonight, even at high ownership.
There's rumors that Moustakas is coming back soon, by the way.
Yeah, I know. We really both were watching the telecast, weren't we?
Yep.
We got the whole thing about the moonshot he hit in the minor leagues.
Yep.
Did we dismiss Wade Miley? Because I don't think that Wade Miley is out of play at all, especially against
okay.
But I don't like love it. But I think that, this Pittsburgh offense has been so shaky that I wouldn't mind taking a shot or two on Miley. I actually think he'll get some ownership too. And Brian Reynolds always is in play for me, but against a lefty, it's a little harder to find these guys. I think Phillip Evans at the top of the lineup might be your best guy.
Yep.
So
that would be the one guy that I would play. Would be Phillip Evans as just as just a 2,400 guy.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. All right. You want to get over to Pittsburgh and Cleveland?
Detroit, Cleveland.
I'm sorry. Detroit.
Yeah. I have Cleveland a little bit as a stack, perhaps, and that's pretty much it. Don't want to spend too much time talking about Manning, but is he bad? Is he good? Is he what's with him, you think?
Well, the thing with Manning is that, just so you know, my interest in him, the first place was that he was I think he was 4K that day or whatever. He's 53 now, which is reasonable. I don't think that I think he probably falls somewhere in between, but he's a low strikeout pitcher.
Okay.
I'm not going to, I could see an argument being made if we needed to play him, but I'm not going to play him.
No, I don't need that.
I would consider both offenses in this game pretty strongly, actually.
Nice.
I like Cleveland. I think it's the only thing I don't like is that you've got a bunch of guys who are actually going to get some ownership, and it just feels wrong for an offense that's looked so inept. I mean, we should have stuck with the Stripling thing. Obviously, easier to say now looking back at it, but this lineup is shaky. There is some power upside and some speed upside with guys like Bradley, Rosario, obviously Ramirez and Reyes at the top. But again, those guys are expensive too. So do I really want to, on a massive slate, have Cleveland as my main stack? Against Detroit? Maybe. And then I also have some interest in Detroit against Quantrill. But as of right now, I think Cleveland is definitely on the list for me. You got Zimmer for the value. You got Bobby Bradley for the value. See how the lineup shakes out, obviously. Mercado, 2.6 if you wanted to get a full 5-man in there. But it doesn't feel, I'm not thrilled and excited about any of these stacks I've talked about yet. So they're just another one of these that are in between for me. And then I just think Detroit at their prices is going to be unknown, but I don't think we need to necessarily get that creative on a huge slate. I will say that Baddoo, I think, is another one of those. Baddoo, and if Grossman is in the lineup, both those guys are very interesting one-off plays. And you could make it with scope into a 3-man. I could see Detroit being an okay stack. I just don't think I'm going to end up doing it realistically.
6,400 for Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, these I don't know why these prices are jumping the way they are, but at least they're trying something on DraftKings, because for a while it was like everybody was stuck in the same price thing. All right, you ready to talk Atlanta, Washington? You want to start?
Yeah. I don't think I have too much to say about it. I have zero interest in anything going on in that game. Why, you like something?
I like Atlanta and I like Mueller.
Really? Okay. I like Victor Robles. That was pretty much it.
Oh, okay. That's nice. Well, I think you'll get him. I think you'll get him completely unowned too, because I don't think anybody's playing anybody in this on the Washington side of the thing.
Why? This is
Mueller's really good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got really good stuff. He's just he's just figuring out his way in the majors. I don't know if I can pay this price for him, but I do think that he's legitimately it wouldn't surprise me if he struck out 8 guys in 4 or 5 innings. You know what I mean? Again, though, he may not even go 5 innings, so it just feels wrong. He's got a 6K prop, which is pretty solid. I would actually bet him to go over in this matchup. Washington has the most depleted offense in all of baseball. You have a number 9 hitter that's a platoon player start leading off for you in Victor Robles. You've got Sanchez. Just these guys are not my major league players yet. So I just personally, I don't know. I think he's got merit just based on the matchup alone. Although Washington has been kind of pesky and does have a couple strong spots with Soto and Bell, but I like Atlanta. Fedde sucks. He's awful. He's had a good matchup. Positive.
Are you sure?
Yeah, positive. I'm not gonna because the guy was once good for you against Miami or something. I'm not gonna argue for him. You know what I mean? He had a good game against Chicago. Great. You know what I mean? Like, Fetty does suck. I'm sorry. He's a terrible pitcher. He gives up power. One thing he does is he doesn't usually lose his control too bad. Or actually, I mean, he actually is sort of iffy on that even as well. But he's a really bad pitcher in my opinion, with a lousy bullpen behind him as it's currently constructed. So I like Atlanta. They priced them up too. I think Jock Peterson is a preferred play, especially since they've been letting him bat against lefties. Jorge Soler, and then you get into the Freeman and Riley, Swanson, Albies group. But I do think Peterson and Soler stand out for prices. As of the stacks we've talked about so far, Atlanta's one of the ones I have the most interest in as a 5-man. So I do have Atlanta.
They're going to be like 0% owned because people are going to be like game log watching, like I just did. You don't see the Fetty 2 of his last 3 games. Had like 20 fantasy points, and maybe he might be. People might play him. Yeah,
those 2 games were against Miami and Chicago, the 2 worst teams in baseball.
No, I'm not. I don't want to debate it. I'm just saying that you're going to get him at low ownership probably because of that.
Yeah, but I mean, he gave up 8 runs in 4 innings.
They let him in there for 108 pitches.
Yeah, he has. I mean, that's even more of a reason. I mean, and we've seen the bullpen blow up. Like, I'm not saying that it's just it's a big slate. I'm not saying I'm going to end up on Atlanta, but as of right now, I do have them circled. I think Fetty does suck. I'm not saying everybody has good games in baseball. We've seen the worst pitchers go out there and have good games. But anyway, I'm not a huge fan there. Fetty. I do like Atlanta. Anyway, sorry. Milwaukee, San Francisco. I'm guessing you're going to say Corbin Burns is the top pitcher on the slate.
Yep.
I would agree with that. I do think that this is a much harder matchup than people probably think, especially with Brandon Belt back in the lineup. I have no problem completely fading Burns today, but as of right now, he is the top guy I've got on my list.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm totally into to doing something like with Bassett or something. We'll get to these guys later, but I'm into that. I mean, San Francisco's like the best team in baseball. You know what I mean? Like, not really, but
no, actually, not really. They kind of are.
They might be, and sometimes it isn't that easy. Why am I playing a 50% owned guy who puts it 10K against one of the best hitting teams in baseball? You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to lock in on Burns. He rates to be my top guy, but it's, whatever.
Yep. He does have an 8.5K prop, pretty high for a number you see.
Okay.
That's a really good one, but I'm just saying, I know Merrill Kelly shut him down yesterday until they got going in the 9th. I think this offense is much stronger with Brandon Belt in it. Also, you had Chris Bryant to a team that already was pesky at worst. Look, if this was on yesterday's slate, I would be saying we should be mini stacking the Giants on a small slate against Burns, because I mean, even against Burns, you see these K props and you see how dominant this guy can be, and they still have about almost like a 3.67 run total. There is some volatility here. I'm at high ownership on a big slate. I might be looking to try and fade him, but I do think he's the number 1 pitcher on the slate. I just don't think it's a sure thing. You know what I mean? It's not like Scherzer. And then I don't think we're getting to any of the bats here. I don't think Milwaukee is like a bad option. I just think that there's better spots on the big slate, right?
Yep.
All right. What are your thoughts on Minnesota and Houston?
Houston, I guess, is the chalk, right? They rate to be the top stack for me. I presume that means it's going to be the top stack for everybody. It is a 100-game slate, so I don't think anybody can be that chalky, but I do have Houston rated as my top overall stack. I wasn't going to get to any of the pitching. And let me see, any particular guys on Houston? Brantley, Tucker, Diaz, Alvarez, Altuve would be the 5 if I had to play 5. And again, watch the injury report. Let's see if Correa is back in, or Gurriel, or whoever. But those would be the guys that I would look towards.
Yeah, I don't think that even at the chalk, I don't think it bothers me terribly, because you've got some discounts too. You've got Diaz and Brantley, who were combined 5.6K together. I don't mind that if you're going to get your stack going. Alvarez at 4.5, I really think is a strong play. Obviously, Altuve is one of the better plays. Altuve and Alvarez are very. I mean, everybody, if you look at him, Kyle Tucker is going to be overlooked because these other outfielders they have. So I like Kyle Tucker. Like, you know what I mean? I think it is a good stack. I agree. One thing is, Ober is not like he's been so bad, but there's a terrible bullpen behind him. He doesn't go deep into games, and occasionally has been rocked a little bit. But has also at times shown some great strikeout upside. Remember, we got him early in the season when he was 5K and we were getting 20 fantasy points out of him and feeling like we were going to, win all the money. He actually pitched well against Houston the last time he faced them. Just trying to find reasons why you wouldn't play him. I don't think you'd be playing guys like Gurriel even on this slate. Like I like Gurriel included in Houston stacks, but not so much on slates like this. Just because they're such huge slates and there's so many Houston guys to choose from. So, but I think all the way, and then you can even use Robo Garcia if you need a total cheap punt at either third base or shortstop. So I'm good with the Houston stack. They're the next of the teams we talked about. They're the 5-man stack. I could see getting there the most, and along with Atlanta.
Hey, just in case, and I don't know what people's processes are as far as listening to us and writing stuff down. It just dawned on me. I forgot to mention. I was when I asked you, is Fetty actually that bad? I was kind of just like talking. I do have Atlanta as one of my top 5 as far as values go. We never really got to it. I was just kind of like almost playing devil's advocate a little bit. I mean, I'm totally with you on that. I was just looking kind of like my actual sheet. You know what I mean? Like old school sheet. And I do have Atlanta as one of the top 5. And I didn't check off that I mentioned it, so I figured I would go back to it.
Right, I gotcha. I think this next game is kind of interesting. You want to Minor and Wainwright. The weird part is this is why Burns is going to be so high owned, because all of these other pitchers, like Greinke, is definitely on the list for me as well, and that feels terrible to pay 9.6K for Greinke.
Yeah, not for me.
And well, then you got Wainwright, who basically is a similar situation here. You do get Casey going to the National League. They're an aggressive offense that doesn't really. They're aggressive early in counts. They don't strike out a ton. Minor is, I think he's actually an underrated pitcher. And you get to go to the National League, but at the same time, you're facing all righties who have made it a career out of hitting left-handed pitching. So it's just a matter of how we want to play this. I do have Minor on my list for sure. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this, I'm playing like guys like Minor and Kyle Gibson as my pitchers. I'm actually starting to like Gibson more and more as we go through this slate.
Yeah, I got Minor just a little bit worse than Gibson, as and definitely in play. But even though he's going to project, okay, there's no world that I'm playing like Wainwright over Bassett. It's just not going to happen for me.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I mean, Bassett could actually. I don't know. I think Bassett.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
I think he's got a better matchup. I mean,
I don't think I've played Wainwright once this season, and I wish I would have some of the time. But like, I hear you totally. So I'm with you. I have no problem with it. I think that St. Louis is a team you're looking at for one-offs.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think that there's, just the history of Goldschmidt, Arenado, power against lefties, plus Tyler O'Neill, plus Edmund Carlson are cheap. Bader's cheap, hit lefties well for his career. It kind of lends itself to feeling like a stack, but then it just goes back to everybody who stacks against Minor all the time. And because all these guys have these numbers and he faces the White Sox all the time and everybody's like, oh, how can he possibly get the White Sox out? Then he goes and dominates the White Sox. There is a bust path for him, of course, but I think he's a good enough pitcher to be on the list of guys to consider. I would say that one of the bets I like today is the over on his strikeouts. It's just 4.5, which also that strikeout prop also makes me like him a lot less for DFS because I don't even need to get into the advanced numbers, but I'll look at it, how often St. Louis strikes out against lefties. And I'm going to guess that it's not all that often. So mild interest in Minor and a little bit of interest in the I think there's one-offs on both sides that you could consider. I just named all the ones for St. Louis, but I just don't think that this is the game I want to do a bunch of hitting stuff in. Other than Sal Perez, who's just, for some reason, got his price lowered again to 4,200. Anything else from this game, Sheets?
Nope.
Miami, Colorado, the 2 most powerful teams in baseball. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so this is gross. I think Marquis is arguably the top pitcher on the slate.
Could be.
And he's got a 7.5K prop. Boy, can I tell you? Can I take a tiny little victory lap, not just on this year, but every year with Marquis? And I was more wrong last year in the shortened season and everything. I've been saying this forever. This guy's a good pitcher, really good.
How much would he make if the Yankees picked him up?
Oh, dude, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, but the weird part is I actually start to like, my eyes light up even more like when he's at home. He's just awesome at home. I'm very much a fan of playing Marquis tonight. My initial thoughts for this game is I would bet the under. Obviously, can always go badly in Colorado, so it never feels great. But I like both of these pitchers. and I especially like Marquee. I don't know what else to tell you. I know that they hit it home. I know Colorado hits it home and all this stuff. It's just hard for me to see a team that's the worst offense in baseball against righties on the road, and then all of a sudden they become great at home. And I understand there's some things that play in for sure, but I could see both of these guys having lights out performances here. And to that end, I have pretty much no interest in any offense in this game, and I'm just interested in both pitchers, but especially by a long shot Marquee over Alcantara.
Yep. I have Marquee as one of my my top 4 pitchers. And I don't have any interest in any of the hitting. Well, I guess you have to have some interest in Miami, but I'm not a lot.
I honestly didn't want to even look at the prices because I knew they didn't raise them.
Yeah.
I hate this as a DraftKings, drives me nuts because it does make them like good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jazz, Brinson, it's 2K batting cleanup.
Yeah. Right.
Colorado. I mean, come on, man. Like, this is why I didn't want to look at. Like, I literally was trying to looking at the prices because this, and then you've got Alfaro at 2.7 as a catcher betting 6th, like a 3.7 Aguiar who literally can hit a fly ball and get it out of that stadium. Yeah. I mean, and then you've got, and by the way, these guys are going to be completely unowned.
I know.
If there's a side to go with, though, I would go with Colorado ahead of Miami just because he is a really good pitcher. But these prices, we may have to get some. I mean,
Alcantara's a pretty good pitcher too.
What's that?
Alcantara's a good pitcher too.
He's really good. Yeah, he's real good. I don't know what to say, man. It's a game I want to focus on the pitching. I don't want to focus on the hitting in this game. I think there's better spots on the slate, but I do see the prices as being kind of egregious and hard to be ignored. So I will probably, I mean, you can look at the games where Alcantara, like, it just can be lights out. I mean, he just dominated the Yankees last week, like literally dominated. He put 33 against them. So I don't know. The cheap bats in this game, you could just say cheap bats at Coors Field. There's no real great matchup for any hitter in that game, in my opinion. Maybe Trevor Story. All right, so talk about your love for Chris Bassett.
A lot. He's getting 30, right? I mean, I don't know.
I love it. No, go ahead.
I don't know. He's pitching against Texas. The guy has an unlimited leash. He's going to pitch 110 pitches and pitch a complete game. I don't know. Let's go.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right, I like it. I will point out that Marquee has a higher K prop than Bassett does here.
Okay.
I think Marquee is probably a better play in my opinion, but
why don't we just play them both? I mean,
well, no, absolutely. That might be the way to go. And I don't think I'm saying anything like groundbreaking here at all.
He'll be 20% owned at least, right? I mean,
which would Bassett? Oh yeah. I would imagine he's pretty high owned. I think this is just an awesome spot for Oakland to hit. They would be maybe my favorite stack so far. I'm going to double check the weather there.
Well, that guy's a little baby, the Fultonavich. Like I watch him pitch sometimes, and I sometimes have him, sometimes we're fading, whatever, sometimes we do whatever. When things aren't going his way, he like pouts, he storms. I mean, the guy's a freaking train wreck.
Yeah, he's I think it's rough when you fall from grace the way that he has. He was a top pitcher, and things have changed. I didn't want to look at 70 degrees. It's not ideal for a summer hitting game. It's frustrating because I really want to play Oakland here. I'm probably still going to. I really like Oakland. I think it's going to be a West Coast kind of a night for me, I guess, but I like Oakland all the way through. I think Matt Olson is probably the best bet to hit a home run of any player on the slate. You take a low strikeout fly ball righty against Matt Olson and good luck to you. Everybody's in play. My next favorites would be Laureano. Marte's expensive, so Laureano, Chapman, Marte. If you want to play, if you're playing for the minimum costing on FanDuel, you can play Moreland and Olsen in a lineup together if you want to stack this team. I do think that an Oakland stack has a great chance here tonight. And the Rangers, in addition to Fultonavich being bad, where are they on the, I'm trying to find my recent rankings of bullpens. They're like on the bottom half. They're like the probably 10th worst. Okay. I think there's a lot of room for Oakland to go crazy here today. So that's my take on this game. How about you?
Yeah, I didn't quite get to that, but I definitely like Bassett. I didn't quite get to and either of the hitting in this game.
Okay. I just want to like, I've watched Fultonavich pitch this year, and I've not seen any
signs of life.
Yeah, I mean, his best sign of life was against Seattle, where 5 innings he had one.
Yeah. So here's who I like, by the way, in that realm. I like Moreland if he gets the start. I play Moreland instead of Olsen in like an Oakland stack. How about that? So Moreland, Canha, Laureano, Marte. Yeah, they actually look pretty good for me, actually, now that I'm actually staring at it. They rank maybe like 6th or so, which is really, really good, actually, considering they're going to be like very, very low owned also, I think. Also, yeah, I like it. I like it, actually.
Yeah, I think this is a great spot I really wish it was 8 degrees hotter or something. Like, you're talking about maybe
we're splitting hairs. We'll be all right. Fultonavich,
it's the worst hitting
condition. Up or he won't,
I could just see those balls like looking like they're almost crushed and then it getting caught at the wall like 3 times. It's just worth noting. Like, look at the home runs this guy's given up this year. I mean, we're talking about like, Jesus Christ. I mean, he's given up his last, except for the one last start where he didn't give up any to Seattle in 5 innings. What did he go? 3, 4, 3, 2, and these are not in like long. He had 4 home runs in an inning and 2/3 against Toronto the other day. Gave 3 last time he faced the Dodgers. He's got more negative. He's the most blow upable pitcher, I feel like, on this slate, and I want some exposure to Oakland.
Well, let's hold off on the Dodger game. Let's do Arizona San Diego first.
Okay, we'll do Arizona San Diego.
Which I have no interest in anything. So
no interest in any of the. Okay. I have a tiny bit of interest in Caleb Smith.
Okay.
Sounds crazy. 7K. Actually, if you take away the last start against the Dodgers, you could see why I have a little bit of interest in him. He does have a 5.5K prop for a guy who's 7K. The San Diego offense is missing, is the second best hitter in baseball. Want to split hairs and decide where he is. And they're not quite the same without him. So I don't mind taking a shot on a big slate, but again, not a priority for me. I prefer the other guys I mentioned before. I prefer Gibson, but I do think that you can make an argument for Caleb Smith having an upside type of performance. It's really weird to see Ryan Weathers with an opposing run total of 3.4. It's almost looks like a mistake. Ryan Weathers has gotten into the 6th inning like twice last season, maybe 3 times or something. There's some K's potential. I can't get there. I just am thinking out loud because he's 6.1K and it's Arizona. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to any hitting in this game. I just don't have any interest in it. I honestly, weirdly enough, like the pitching.
All right, talk to me about the Dodger.
All right, so Sandoval and Price. I actually think Sandoval's a really good pitcher, so it's kind of a little frustrating. He's been absolutely awesome and consistent and not getting blown up at all. I'm going to the game, so I will have to stack the Dodgers anyway. And I'm not saying I'm going to stack them in my highest buy-in tournament. By the way, I'm not going to play David Price at 5.8. If I was going to do that, I'd play Ryan Weathers. I think that if you're looking at Dodgers here, obviously Mookie stands out, but he's expensive. Chris Taylor, Turner, don't mind Seager or Muncy in the lefty-lefty matchup. And then you could pay down for Pujols if you want to against his former team. We got the Freeway Series, going to be a fun game. I wish I didn't have such high respect for Sandoval, but I think Seager, Muncy, Betts, and Turner would probably be my favorites. Throw in maybe a Pollock or a Chris Taylor with those guys. And I think you're going to probably not see Will Smith's catching tonight. And you could, I don't know. It's a tough situation. I think I have a lot of respect for Sandoval, and yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'm going to have to get a stack in, but it's not probably going to be my biggest buy-in lineup.
Right. So you ruined my whole day here.
Well, I will say the Angels have a really bad bullpen. So if the Dodgers do get past Sandoval, you could see your stack coming in late. Anyway, that's
not why you ruined my whole day.
Why did I ruin your day?
Because like one of my best pitchers was going to be David Price. So talk to me about this. Why can't we play him?
You can play him.
No. But the first thing you said was there was no way I'm playing David Price. So let's talk about this.
Well, he's had one game where he threw 5 2/3 innings this year.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Never had more than 13 fantasy points. I don't really understand on a 15-game slate why I'm talking about David Price.
Okay.
The projections are they haven't been close to accurate, with him, like not even close. Now, is there a path? Sure, he could get the right side of things on his. It is bizarre to see the Angels run total this low. It's like they're treating them like the old David Price. What are they missing? I mean, I'll take Justin. You know what I'll do? I'll play Justin Upton. I'll put him as a priority play here. Maybe I stack the Angels. Justin Upton, Joe Adell. I think those are really good plays. I think those are two of the better value plays against David Price. The Dodgers, obviously, with a really strong bullpen. It is a weak lineup that they're going to be facing. I can't do it. I just think if I'm going to play David Price, why wouldn't I play Ryan Weathers against an even worse offense, who actually, like, neither of them go deep into games at all. I don't know. I can't really find a great reason to play David Price.
All right, fair enough. So what I was going to say is so funny. We were talking about there was another cheapo at like 5,800 or something like that earlier today. I forget what we were talking about, but I deliberately withheld commenting. I was going to say, well, why are we going to play this guy at 5,800 when we could freaking lock in freaking David Price at 5,800?
Go ahead, people can play him. I mean, just look.
No, dude. I need to. I just had this. Look at some of these pitch. Wait a minute. So I have another question.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of these price tags. What, without looking, do you know what Fulton Avery's price tag is?
4.9.
I mean,
yeah, do you need the extra 900 or 1,200 versus he and Wet? Like, you know what I mean? Does it matter that much? I don't think so.
Matt Manning was the 5,300 guy. I think it was.
Yeah, Matt Manning, I think, has a little bit of a better case than these guys do. Well, David Price has a case for sure. And I actually think that people are going to end up coming onto this a little bit. They did let him go a little longer in a couple of his games, but what are we like hoping for out of him? Like, if he has to do really well.
I'm hoping for like Bobby to be at the game and it's striking people out, getting a flash of the old David Price against kind of a semi-fishy Angels line. Maybe get Joe Adell, get Joe Adell, good lineup spot, get a couple of strikeouts out of him. And then
I'll throw Price into one line. He'll be in a lineup.
Dude, if he maybe gets 6 innings and 20 fantasy points, you're a freaking hero.
It's just hard to say what if we get 6 innings when we've seen this story and he hasn't come close. Like, he had the one game that came kind of close against Colorado. And it is a weak lineup. It's a very fishy lineup, so I don't mind that. But I mean, look, you want to talk about cheap guys you can get against the guy who throws batting practice, like Joe Adell and Upton combined 4.7K.
Right.
Yeah, takes up 2 of your outfield spots, but these guys have great chances at having a day. Or you could play Goslin on the infield who's probably batting second today.
The reality is that you don't need to do any of this. You play Fulton Avich or Bailey Ober or Ryan Weathers or David Price. You know, the fact of the matter is you could play, for example, like Bassett and Marquis with or even Burns and Marquis. Yep. With plenty of room.
Yep.
To play some good players.
Yep, I totally agree. I have so I guess that'll lead it to sort of summing this up. Like, I have Marquis, Bassett, Gibson, Burns as my 4 pitchers that I'm mainly going to use. Yeah. I would consider mixing in Manoah, Miley, Mueller, Minor, and Greinke and Price, but I'm just flirting with that idea. I'll let you guys know at 6 Eastern. And then stack wise, I like Oakland. I like Houston a little bit. I like Atlanta. And those are the fuller stacks I like. And then I want pieces of Toronto, Yankees, and Cincinnati.
I'll go from the bottom up. I'll go from stacks first. I'll go Baltimore, Tampa, Cincy, Atlanta, Houston, and the Yankees. And with pitching, Burns, Bassett, Marquis, and then Gibson, what's his name, and the other one that was Minor, and then and David Price if you need it, which you probably do.
Yep. And then just real quick, you have cheap guys. Urias, this is for Baltimore, Santander, Hayes, Evans, Brantley, Diaz, Upton, and Adell, and Brinson are my favorite cheapos.
Cash game plays have Michael Brantley is 3K. Robles 2,100, Hayes 2,500. We mentioned all these. Lewis Brinson, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, Castellanos, you already mentioned him as being with the cash play in the outfield, one of the cash plays in the outfield. And then I actually came across another pitcher. I'll throw in just those not want to say fishy SP2s, but alongside with Minor and Gibson, Logan Webb's coming up for me a little bit. But I don't know how many lineups I'm playing tonight. Well, I'm probably not going to get to those guys.
Yeah, it's a weird one. All right, man. Well, I think we sort of bet, those are our early thoughts. I know it's kind of a long one, guys. I hope everybody.
So just so you guys know, I'm out tonight. I'm like, as usual, most weekends, I'm gonna do my best to get as much stuff up as I can. But just bear with me or whatever. That's all I can promise you guys, is that I'm just doing my best. And if something is not up, it's just because I just couldn't do it. That's the best I can describe it. I wouldn't forget. I wouldn't do whatever. I try to do it, and if I can, it's just it's senseless for you to come up. Honestly, for you to post in there and say, "Hey, Sheets, put a thing up, do this, do that." Believe me, if I could, it would be done. I promise you.
Yep, hardest working man in DFS. Here we go. Anyway, guys, good luck to everybody tonight. I hope you all crush it. Sheets, thanks for everything and all those new stuff. It's going to be really helpful to have that stuff. People can get their stuff optimized easily. And let's crush it tonight, guys. Good luck.